first consideration before any job is health and safety. This peacock, I sculpted this, and this is the one I prepared earlier. This took me about 3 minutes actually to do, and as you can see, it's very effective. It's a work of art which can be done using lime render.
So what's always fascinated me, and it's been a real privilege, is when you're repairing these cornices and mouldings, you're actually making profiles and you're actually working on the same thing that somebody may have worked on 300 years ago. You know, but you can see trowel marks and tool marks, and when you're, for instance, paint stripping these, you can see the layers and layers and layers of different colours, different types of paint, and it is a privilege to work on these cornices and in these buildings. It's just fascinating and a pleasure. You are actually doing this in exactly the same way as they would have done it 300 years ago. Okay, right, I'm going to clean off the bench and make a mix. Right, so I'm going to make a little bowl of normal plaster Paris. Yep. So you just want to fill up the water, let it soak in. This is so strong, you just need a tiny bit. So with a knife, just going to get that much, plonk it into the water. So I'm going to mix that up with a brush. So I'm going to make a small bit of green. And then I'm going to paint it on. So you need to stipple it and get it into all of the little nooks and crannies to make sure you haven't got any air bubbles. Now, if there's air bubbles on here, you'll get left with air bubbles, you know, on the actual cast. So you need to vibrate it. Can you see the air bubbles?
Yeah,
coming up. This is what happens if you don't flash it. Can you see there's air?
You haven't got a chin?
Air bubbles.
Pockets.
Yeah. So then I'm going to put a bit of string in the top. Just a piece of string. Push it down. Have a loop. And then push it down.
What?
Then, could you pass me a stick? Thank you. Lovely. Right, now I'm just going to scrape this plaster off the edge, and I'm going to leave this, and when it's firmed up some more, I'm going to give it a bit more of a scrape, and you'll get a really nice flat back. So you have to leave the casts in for about an hour or two, otherwise if you try and demould them too quickly, you can crack the cast. You can see how bendy this silicone rubber is. You've really got to make sure these are hard before you take them out. So this is I know. So if you've got too many undercuts, you have to make a mould that comes in 2 or 3 pieces. There you go.
Oh,
And then you use this is like a little cheese grate, and use this to just cut that little edge off.
Choose yours, Amy?
Yeah.
This one's better looking to Steve. See the resemblance. Better looking to Steve.
Silver!
I made a purple Steve!
Capture this would be something you can put on the
Steve.
wall. That's really good, that's clever, that is fair play.
Really?
Really nice. And the colours, they're like...
That's cool, isn't it?
Tidying it up.
That's come out really well.
Looks like Steve to left.
See any of those?
I want this one. More organic.
Oh my god, that was so painfully left. Like, done all the
Yeah.
colour and the rest.
Lee, that's yours. Right.
Yeah, mine's a dragon.
So what you want to do now?
I gotta do it fast too.
Use some pressure. Sort of like shove it in like that.
Does it dry to be the colours or just
It'll dry lighter. Quite a lot lighter. So is all your pigment mixed in? Yeah, it seems to be, doesn't it? Okay, so I'm going to pour this in. Okay. Yeah, you can mix it like that, or you can mix it with hands. I just put a bit of yellow. Okay. That's nice.
Let's get the complex one.
So let me, right. So if you're using this bucket mop, you need enough to fill in all these. So if I just and grab that and shake it around so it fills all those little bits. Fill his feet up. And that's it. Right, now to get rid of, can you see these air bubbles coming up?
yeah.
To get rid of them, lift it and bang it back down.
Oh,
Like that.
one big bubble popped.
Yeah, you want them to pop, that's it. No, go lift it, like that. See,
Yeah, but it'll-
slap it back down. That's it. You just lift it,
Hang on,
like that.
I see one.
Yeah. Lovely.
Why don't I just blow into it?
That's it. Now, scrape the rest of that out of there, and with your hand, fill it all up.
That is brilliant, isn't it?
Do you know what?
You pleased with that, Lee?
Yes.
Historic cornices are either plain or they're enriched. So this is a plain, well this is plain at the moment, and it's made on a lath background, which is this. So it's made with pared lime plaster, and you add a third casting plaster to that, which means you can run it with a former. So then what we're doing today is we're making the enrichments that go inside. So this is the enrichment for this cornice. So I'll just place it in and show you where it goes. So that gets bedded into there. Again with a little bit more casting plaster. This will be what's called a repeat, and they normally come about 12 sort of 10 inches. And can you see that then fits into there. And then we've also got other repeats. This is an acanthus leaf, it's a very traditional detail. And then sometimes you get individual flowers. So to repair a cornice that's enriched, you basically chisel down a couple of the enrichments near Ross-on-Wye in a big historic house, and this was repairing a cornice there, and I think it was probably dated about 1730. So I took down an original, chiselled it out of the cornice, so you have to get a whole repeat, because you see that end fits onto there, so it's all continuous. You boil them in a pan of water, which melts any modern paint off, and then you have to pick the paint out you imagine if this has been painted 30 times, most of this is all filled up. So you have to pick that out and wash it gently so you get back to the original cast that was put in there in, say, 1750. Then you mount it on a board. You fill any edges with clay slip to seal them, so you prevent you getting air bubbles. And then you use bits of wood and you make yourself a little box, for instance like this. Like this. And then you use a silicone, and again you bed them down with clay and fill all the gaps with clay, and then you pour your silicone rubber mould. Obviously you have to pour it 5mm above the highest point of your cast. And then you leave that generally for 24 hours, and then you have your mould. I sort of fell into doing this for a living. I've always liked old buildings, but I didn't really know that I could have a career in old buildings. And then I went to college and I did art, and I did lots of sort of welding and making scrap metal sculptures, and then mould making and ceramics. I loved working with clay. So then I made a few moulds and started casting, and I loved it. And then I ended up working, where did I work? In Victoria Wine and for a cleaning company. It just so happened that we were working on cleaning a building after the conservation builders had been in, and I was talking to a stonemason, and I was saying, oh, I really fancy being a stone carver, and he said, no, you don't want to do that, that's really heavy. Why don't you become an ornamental plasterer? Here's my boss's phone. I'm phoning him now, ask him for a job. So he did that, put the phone in my hand, and yeah, Roger Capps gave me a job. So that was 20 years ago now. So yeah, so I started doing decorative plasterwork, and as soon as I was working in old buildings that were, you know, 15, 16, 1700, I loved every minute of it. And then I moved on to doing flat plastering, and then I moved on to doing pointing and lime washing, and now I have my own conservation building company. So in mould,
Take the ears off.
Rub away the ear, no, keep the ears on, paint the diamond on it, so it's got your earring, and then it's even got your thing. Goodness.
which means
Brilliant job.
Who's that, Lilo?
Steve.
Emperor Ming.